Hi there, I'm Lucille.
And I'm Leanne.
Welcome to Love and Light, where we talk all things life with our foundation rooted in Jesus.
Just two friends sharing their thoughts, opinions, and experiences. So join us as we take this journey together, exploring life.
So today we'll be speaking about knowing when to stay and when to leave, focusing on relationships, professional and social settings, and receiving versus resisting God's vision. This is I think it's such an interesting topic because everybody at some point has had to have made the decision of whether or not to stay or to walk away from something in their lives. And when we think about relationships, it can be family, it can be friendships, it can be romantic relationships. So for you, Leanne, how did you know what the correct decision was that you had to make in that moment, and how did you deal with that?
This topic for me is, I would say, is a very raw one and a very fresh one, because I've recently kind of come out of that knowing when to stay and when to go and when it would be healthy for me as the person. And a lot of that came down to God. And I know, and I don't want it to sound cliche, but there was a moment. I mean, obviously for our listeners that don't know, I was married and recently divorced. And knowing when to stay, like in a relationship, that is such a big, important relationship, and then when to go. For me, in that moment, it came down to God, and I had to really trust and sit and focus on Him, and go, Lord, is this the position that you want me to be in? Is this the relationship you want? Is this what you want for me? So, and as humans, we want to hold on.
Oh,
and I did, you want to do everything to make sure you don't lose this specific relationship or this specific job or this friendship.
Because you invest so much into it.
You do.
Yes.
You give you all to it.
100%.
So now you're thinking to yourself, but if I walk away from this, what if it never comes back?
And all of that was for nothing.
For nothing. Or what if I never find this again?
Yes.
And for me, I had to learn that it's not about focusing on the what if.
Yes.
It's about looking at the now. This is the situation you are in. This is the feelings you are in. This is what's happening. Is this healthy for you as the person? Are you hearing God's voice in it? Is He telling you that now is the time to move on, to move forward from? You basically have to, for me, it was really looking at where's my peace being disrupted. And in the whole situation, every time I wanted to stay, it took away from that peace. I was anxious. I was getting depressed. I was feeling unhealthy. That's for me when I know this situation is no longer for me. When it starts affecting my health and my well-being, that's where I've learned, where God has shown me that this is the situation I must no longer be in. So for me, it's always come down to God showing me in that moment that this relationship and that friendship is actually not good.
When I think about it, any kind of relationship, I mean, if it takes more than I'm getting from it, that's almost like I kind of know, okay, but is it worth me staying? And yes, I get a lot of people, like, it's natural for us to think, but we've invested so much into this, and if I walk away, that would have been for nothing. And a lot of the times I find that, if you do come to the decision to walk away, you kind of almost feel like, but like you said, what if it never comes? What if I don't get? What if this was my
this
was my it. This was what it was supposed to be, and I just turned around and walked away. But I think a lot of people also it's okay for us to say, it's fine, I'll walk away and we'll pick up the pieces, because naturally it's okay to start over, If
but
something,
it's that fear that keeps us from
100%.
wanting to start over.
But if something breaks, it's fine. Dust yourself off, pick up the pieces, put it back together, and start again. And what I always think about is, I heard this quote. I don't know if it was a meme I saw or if I read it somewhere.
Social media.
But it's like, and this quote really resonated with me. It was saying that this was back then when I was younger, and your first relationship, and it was everything.
Yeah, it's the world,
It stuck with me, and it said that being in this, it says love is like a cactus, right? or does it feel like a cactus, or holding onto a cactus? You know what a cactus is? It's sore when you touch it. So I always envision, it says, holding onto a cactus, the tighter you hold, the more you hurt, right? And in everything that where I have to make this decision, I always think about that, where by me holding onto this, I'm only hurting myself. You know, no good can come of this if I'm the one that's being drained, and I'm the one that's constantly hurting, and I'm sad, and I'm crying, and you know, internal pain, heartbreak it's a real thing.
It's a thing, and you know, it affects everything. It doesn't just affect your outward. It's because you can look perfectly fine on the outside, but what it does in the inside, 100%. It affects your health. It affects your ability to concentrate, to focus. So no, it's sometimes having to let go is the hardest decision you'll ever make.
Also, you know, it's not only just romantic relationships, because I found that with certain family, it's also the same thing. You know, where they say family's family and you have to love them regardless. I honestly believe that 100% family is family.
Will always be your family.
Will always be your family, and you should love them. But if the relationship is only there, or it's only existing to serve, you know, at your expense, then why not it's okay to walk away from it. If that, you know,
if the person is only phoning you to ask for something, or for you to do something, or but it's never, Lucille, how are you doing? How's life?
Exactly. But not even only that. I mean, if the person is constantly on your head, breaking you down, making you feel bad about yourself, like, you know, just not being a good supportive structure in your life, then walk away from it. That's fine.
Doesn't mean you don't speak to them at a family function, but it means you don't have to interact with them
you don't
outside
have to have
of
an
that.
intimate relationship with them,
You can just, you know, when you see them, you greet them. That's it.
Yeah.
And that's okay. You don't have to force yourself because they're blood.
Yes. Now, looking at relationships, that's obviously like a very intimate, you know, decision that you have to make, walking away. But then how do you deal with that decision in a work context or in a social context, where it's not only just walking away from a job opportunity or career path, but being in a team, you know, when you're doing team activities, or in a social environment where it's, you know, your lifestyle, everything that you do, or even at church, like if you go to church, how do you then know, okay, but you're on this team, how do I'm here because I just filled in the first slot that I filled in, and then how did you decide, okay, but maybe this is not for me, but something else is for me? How do you then deal with that?
For a lot of people, like in a work context, that is a hard one to navigate, because not everyone has the luxury to walk away. So sometimes you have to kind of just find a way to deal with it, and sort of just be there to do what you need to do. So do your work, get on with it, and get out of it, you know. And then in that process, then try maybe find something that's going to be better for you, that's going to be healthier for you. Because some people don't, like I said, have that luxury to just go, here's my resignation,
bye,
I'm done.
See ya.
So they have to unfortunately stay in it. So it's, you know, mentally, okay, I need to leave, but then it's, what am I doing to get out of this space? So you look for healthy ways, and then start applying for the jobs, start finding something that you can maybe then do on the side to bring in money, so that you can get out of that. But and I also think you must look at it in the same thing if you're in a social activity, a team, like you said, at church. You're not serving yourself, God, and the church if you're gonna say be on the worship team, but you actually want to be on the welcome team, because that's more your personality. Or you hate talking to people and you actually want to be the singer. You're not serving anybody by staying in a team that you're not giving you.
That doesn't feed you.
Because you're not then doing it passionately. So then why are you doing it? So I think when something no longer becomes a passion for you, that's when you know you need to at some point let it go. And I know it comes back to them, and I'm letting people down, and I'm going to disappoint people. But
then are you not disappointing people at your expense? So you'd rather disappoint yourself than disappoint somebody else.
But also I feel that you're disappointing people by not giving it your all. Because now you're doing half a job instead of doing it with your all to give it 100%. So in those moments, rather find what you're good at instead of staying in something because you don't want to disappoint somebody, rather than sit down and have the conversation with them and say, you know what, I know I said I would help you and I said I would do this, but it's not where I feel I'm passionate about being, or that I'm not healthy in this space. Is there maybe something I can do that's a little bit different, or another team that I actually want to be a part of if it's at church? Or then you say in your social activity, look, I tried it, but it's not for me. I think that's where communication needs to come in the most for you to be healthy. And that knowing when to stay and when to go, for me, it comes down to, are you healthy in what you're doing? Is it doing good for your well-being? Because if it's making you sick or anxious to constantly be in that space, then rather let it go. It's going to be hard, but it will be so much better for you in the long run.
Like, you see, I like what you said, where not a lot of people have the luxury to just hand in the resignation and say, okay, listen, peace out, I'm done with you, goodbye. But I also feel like a lot of people are stuck in jobs where it's a means to an end type of thing, you know. It's a mean of survival, but they're not happy, right? Because they're not passionate about it, right? And I understand that, look, in today's economy and in today's world, if you have a job, bro,
be
congrats,
thankful,
right?
Stay in
100%. But if I look at like the younger generation, like I'm so old, but
like we ancient,
you know. But if I look at the kids that I teach at school, they are the future of where we're living. They're going to fill, and a lot of the times I've noticed that fear from their parents, they project their own fears onto their kids, and now they aren't free to kind of make the decisions that they want to make for themselves. Their decision
because
is
they're just hearing you need to pay that bill every month, so you need to find something stable.
Exactly, but their decisions on their future is based off their parents' fears, where it's like, no, but you can't do this and you can't do this. Rather do some finance where the child is completely
like, I hate this.
Like, I don't want to be, you know, I don't want to do that. But not even to go further and think about, you know, when you want to do something and it's like no matter how hard you try, it's just not working out. I'll give you an example. In my head, for so long, I wanted to do runway modeling, right? I was like, I can do this, man. I can do this. But every chance I got, it was no.
Yes, it's like, no, you're too short, or you're too this, or you're too that, or it just
from the
work.
get-go, right? And I think, yes, you don't want rejection to define you. I get that, but at some point you need to take all of that, sit with it, reflect and say, okay, but maybe this is not working out because it's not meant for me, right? It's the same thing like we were saying in a relationship. If you want something and it's just, no matter how hard you try, there's always a block. You need to be able to sit and think, okay, but maybe this is not for me, right? So I think if you have that in context, but then how do you kind of open yourself up to listen to God's vision for you? So how would you then say that kind of you've found your way of figuring out what God's purpose was for you, or where you should be, or the path that you should be following?
You know, it's very disappointing when you want something so badly and it's not coming. So I hear you when you say you've been trying, and every door just keeps closing. And that's where God's vision comes in, because if it's meant for you, the door will never close. But it is hard, because then you keep going, but you know, people tell me I mustn't give up on my dream, and I must always try, and I must always go with it. But as for Christians, I go, but did you ask God about that dream? Did you ask God about that vision? Did you have a conversation with him and say to him, you know, I want to be that runway model, but it's not working. Why? Is there a reason that you don't want this for me? Is it because I'm meant to be something bigger or something better? But it's not easy to always give up on things. Especially if you're like a little girl and you always dreamt about being the Barbie doll, and you know, it's silly, but you look at it, and I look at it from my point of view, like, you know, I had this vision for my life, I was going to be the wife and then the mother and then and when
you
that,
like you almost have your life planned out to the T.
I knew at this age I want my first child, and I knew. And then you start getting closer and closer, and you're going, okay, but now, Lord, when I said I wanted that, and you do, because then you go, okay, but now it never happened. Does that mean I must let it go? No, that doesn't mean it's not gonna happen for you. But like you said, you do have to take the information and sit with it and say, so everything that's led to this is not working.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to put that on the back burner.
Yes.
Give it a break.
Yes.
Maybe it's not meant in this season. And then maybe try something new that you're also passionate about. And in this new season that I'm in this new journey, that's what I've been doing. I've been trying new things that scare me, things that freaks me out completely. I mean, just now, being signed by an agent to model, but going in for castings gives me the biggest anxiety and panic attacks. But it doesn't mean that that's not for me. It just means that I need to learn to be in the space and give it a chance.
Yes.
And if it doesn't work, that's okay. I gave it the space to work. So for me, it's just finding that balance and going, you know what? I gave it the opportunity. It didn't work for me. So Lord, do I need to now just, put it on the shelf and maybe come back to it another time? We'll talk about it. So that's where I've been at, is just looking at trusting him a little bit more in it and going, okay, I've now done this 5 times. It's not working, so maybe I just need to step away from it.
It's so important to also know, like you're saying, God's timing and he'll always let you know. It's not that maybe something's not for you, but you'll always know. But I think we also need to acknowledge or be able to recognize when it is, God saying, listen, this is for you. Because I found that, and speaking from personal experience, right, where you have this idea and it's everything. You put your heart and your soul into it. And you work so hard towards it, but then you kind of you'll have like, it's almost like a nudge. I know a lot of people will be like, oh, but the universe will open this.
Universe can go jump in.
People will call it the universe. But it's in those moments where you learn to receive God's vision for you, as opposed to rejecting it. Because I found that there were times where I'll sit, whether it's in church, right, and I know I want to be up there and singing with the worship team, but I'm like,
no, I'm not doing this. People are going to be looking at me.
But not even just in church, you'll find that even in a school context or work context, the way you want something so bad and you can feel that, okay, I should do this, but you just no, right? And we need to kind of figure out or realize, okay, where's the point where I am now resisting God's vision for my life, and where do I start receiving God's vision? Because like you say, things are really scary, right? It's very scary to say, okay, I'm just gonna go full force into this. But if it's God's plan for you, it's going to work out. So do you have any like final thoughts on what we spoke about, or do you want to share anything?
Just remember to take time. We're so quick to make a decision because maybe that will be the fastest way to get it over and done with. But allow yourself to fully think it through.
Yes.
Take every situation that has happened, every information that God has sent you and said, I told you this person is doing this, or this is happening in your life, and sit with it, pray about it. And I promise you, the peace that comes when God tells you that this is not for you, and the peace that comes when he says, my daughter, this is it, go for it. So just live in that moment with him. And it's okay. I know it's scary, and I mean, I was very worried about what my life was gonna be like once I no longer was in a situation. And God has just shown me so many blessings, so many things that are coming. Exactly, that I was so worried was never gonna come if I didn't stay in a certain situation. So the fear will be there, but remember that God's got you, and He is gonna lead you through because He knows what He wants for you.
Yeah, like you said, you know, that it's not satisfaction, but that amazing, overwhelming happiness that comes over you when you stop and you just say, you know what, I'm gonna let you, God. I'm going to receive everything. And what you were scared of becomes so small that you're just like, come on, because you catapulted into such different levels, and so many things start opening up, so many doors start opening, opportunities come, and you're just like, okay,
look what I'm getting now.
You know, and you grow.
And I wouldn't have.
You
if
grow
I
as a
didn't.
person, and you start doing so many things, and it's kind of like, wow, you have your caterpillar into a butterfly moment, and you're just like, wow,
This is my moment.
yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's episode on Love and Light. If you enjoyed it, please leave us a comment on the platform that you are watching. We'd love to hear back from you.
Please don't forget to like and subscribe and give us a follow on our social media platforms. Our handle, Love and Light Pod. Until next time, have a blessed week.